So these are the 5 boards. It's basically, as I mentioned, it's like a modular system. If you want just this board with the features it provides, you can use that. You could later on add some of the other side boards, the other features. So it doesn't all have to be hooked together at once. It can be done in pieces or just, specific pieces and never anything else. So, but we'll go into that more as I describe the features later. One thing to note is, so the boards have been, here are the boards assembled. Again, we'll get into the features later. One thing that, and the other thing that's been done is that the main board has been modified in the way that it needs to be modified for this modular system, and the case has been drilled. All the various holes are in it on all the sides. So one thing to note on the main board, so I've drilled the various holes in here I needed for mounting. Of course, all the holes are in specific areas that go just directly through ground planes. They don't affect any of the traces on the boards. You'll notice that on the top there's 2 connectors going to various wires which go to tap points that I'm using. Same thing on the back. Here we got 3 connectors here. Now when you use this system, you have 2 possibilities. One is that you don't make any modifications to the main board whatsoever, which means that when all of the modular pieces are removed, you could just pop this in the case and have a stock monotribe, and nothing has changed on this board. In this particular configuration, I've removed 5 resistors from the main board, which allows me to do some really interesting switching from the case, from the controls itself, which I wouldn't be able to do with those resistors in place. That means right now, if I stuck this in, certain things would not be functioning correctly, but that's the interconnect board. If the interconnect board is attached, you'll notice there's little dip switches on here. In this configuration with the resistors off that normally sit there, I'd have to at least connect this little interconnect board and throw these dip switches, and then I would have, again, a stock monotribe, and I could stick that in the case and hear it as the original monotribe. You'd need that one board added. But if you don't remove those switching resistors, you can just put, even with this already adapted like this, it could be popped in the case and played like a normal monotribe. So let's assemble this so you can see what happened, how it comes together. Some parts of this assembly video will be speeded up so you don't have to sit through long boring bits. But the first thing I got to do is I got to attach the top board in place, so that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, that's all together. Now we need to put, first off, this cable here is the jumper for the MIDI. The MIDI in and out comes through there, jumps to here, a little opto isolator there, you got MIDI in and out there. And we need our connectors for our other boards. This is going to the rhythm board. And the one on this side, let me think which way around this goes. It goes this way. That goes there. Okay. That's all ready to go. We can install that in the case. So you'll see that these output jacks here, this is all very tight. You have to imagine the top of the case is right there. So in this particular version, there may be a version 2 where I change things around a bit. In this particular version, I have to slot the case so that, because this case is beveled on either side, it goes inward at the top. So if you make a board like that that sticks out and you try to jam it in, it's going to start wedging against the side. So the little output jacks which stick out have to actually enter and then slide down. That was a compromise I had to go with for this. At some point I'll probably make, just like Korg has these little skirting, these little pieces of felt that skirt these knobs to keep dust out and to make it look, you know, more acceptable, blacker. I'll probably at some point create a little felt skirting thing which goes on these, that goes on these output jacks and covers the rest of the slot, but I don't have that yet. Okay, now that we got the top board attached to the main board, we're going to start assembling the various pieces into the case. We do the two side boards next. So we'll start with, this is the sub oscillator board. That's going to go in like this. This is the rhythm board. Again, that connects via this connector to the top. Okay, next comes the VCO pulse width modulation board, which attaches to the front. This has a little cable that's connected to the sub-os board. So we're going to get this guy in there. Last is the interconnect board, which basically acts as a kind of bus to distribute the power and also the signals from the main monotribe board to the various sideboards. If you'll notice, I drilled a hole through the ground plane there, and there is a screw coming through with a nut on it holding it in place. That is to provide a base for this standoff here. And this hole over here normally has a screw in it which holds in the ribbon connector. But I've taken that screw out and I'm using instead a standoff that has a screw, same kind of screw end to it. And I'm using that in place, which does the dual function of holding in the ribbon plus providing a standoff for my interconnect board. So this comes in here. Now, of course, there's this board, monotribe board. Okay, that's everything except the bottom of the case.